a friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction video 603. That in that neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. Thank God it is Mother and Friday, y'all. And usually on Fridays, we watch the latest video from Adrian from Coffee House Crime. But this Friday, we gonna check the latest video out from my brother from another mother. And that brother is Ryan from Tragedy Tales. A Tragedy Tales Friday, y'all. And the title of the video is Sudden Sinkhole, 10 clips before horror number 15. Now, usually, y'all, as y'all know, Ryan do 5 clips before horror. It's on special freaking occasions when he do the 10 clips. I feel like we getting 2 videos in one, you know what I'm saying? And as y'all see, I'm very excited to get into it, and we're about to do just that. But before we do that, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Y'all got what y'all need, y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
You've all seen these videos before. I always talk about how life is fragile and that everything can change in the blink of an eye. And it's true, it's no exaggeration. However, every now and then, someone's right there to record the calamity as it unfolds. In this 15th episode special, we're going to be taking a look at not 5, but 10 clips recorded right before horror. From the terrible Apple River incident to the woman that vanished in the blink of an eye. This week, as I usually do, I've got clips from all across the world that are sure to leave you dumbfounded. So, strap in, grab your favourite drink and draw the curtains. Let's get right into it.
Get whatever you may need. Number 10.
On August the 23rd, 2024, it was just another day in the capital of Malaysia. Well, that's how it started anyway, until this horrifying footage was recorded in the bustling Setapak district of Kuala Lumpur. The usual hum of the city filled the air as residents and commuters hurried to their destinations. It was yet another busy day. However, in the morning as the day got started, this is when a piece of CCTV footage was captured that shocked the world. At precisely 20 past 8 in the morning, a 48-year-old woman named Vijayalakshmi Gali, who we'll just refer to as Gali, was captured on video walking down a street called Jalan Masjid, located in Kuala Lumpur. Now, Gali was reportedly on a 2-month holiday with her family and was actually due to return home soon. That day, she was walking down the street and all of a sudden, the ground instantly opened beneath her feet and swallowed her.
Oh my God, man.
People that were nearby, who were actually lucky to not fall in themselves, looked to their feet to see a square sinkhole that had formed in the middle of the street.
Like, that is so freaking scary, y'all. It make you scared to walk outside in the public on the sidewalk. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, and just the way she was walking, she had no idea, no clue that was about to happen. You see how fast it can just everything can just change. And this reminds me of a clip that we seen from Ryan a couple of videos back. Probably was the latest video that we watched from him, of a woman and she was in a house. She was like by the kitchen sink, and long story short, story long, the floor collapsed and she ended up down in a well. It was crazy, y'all. And this is just as crazy because this is actually out in public, man. Protect the streets. We pay y'all taxes to make sure the pavement is good to walk on.
With Ghali nowhere to be seen, fire engines and rescue teams rushed to the scene, but they were shocked with what they were met with. When emergency services arrived, they found a square-shaped sinkhole that measured 26 feet, or around 8 meters deep. They noticed that there was a strong water current running under the ground, and to their shock, they also discovered a sewer pipe under the ground that had broken. They put 2 and 2 together. It looked like she must have fell into the pipe.
Damn.
One of the first things they did is uncover all of the surrounding manholes to make sure that she wasn't stuck in there. But again, she was nowhere to be seen. Seeing how serious this was, an immediate ground search began, but they knew that this would be a challenging rescue, but more likely it would be a recovery. Special tactical and rescue teams arrived at the scene. They used tracking dogs, and soon excavators were called in to dig up the area and expand the search. Rescue teams worked tirelessly throughout the night, and by morning there was still no sign of her. This went on for days on end. 7 days later, Ghali was still missing. Authorities had dug up most of the street, affecting the local businesses heavily, but still, there were no traces or clues other than the one thing that they found, which was Ghali's slippers, which were discovered 3 days after she'd fallen. Authorities at this point believed that her body must have been swept into the burst pipe, straight into the open sewer system. Apparently, the pipes in this area are around 150 years old and are known to crack often. Once it cracks, it releases the liquid, which then erodes the limestone above it, causing sinkholes to form that are fatal. Sinkholes have been known to form in the area in previous years, although none of them had caused any fatalities. Over the week that they looked for her, search teams utilised several methods to find her body, including jetting the sewers, flushing out the water, sending telescopic cameras in, and even sending a team of scuba divers in to investigate.
Man, I just gotta point out the BS in this whole thing. The fact that they said, well, Ryan just told us that they have already had incidents of sinkholes forming, and just because they never had a fatal accident or whatever, a tragedy tale to happen, they didn't do nothing about it. You supposed to do something about it before it becomes a fatal accident. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know these sinkholes is going on around the city. We gotta put an end to it before somebody lose their life. I'm getting mad at this situation. I hope her family gets some money or something, even though it'll never bring her back.
But still, no clues were discovered. On the 1st of September, the Malaysian government announced that they had decided to permanently cancel the search due to the risky and challenging conditions of the sinkhole, and the search methods that were being used were also very technical and risky. The police informed Ghali's family of the decision, and their visas were extended for another week to allow them to adjust to the tragedy. Regardless, whether it was a burst pipe or possibly the limestone foundations, what are the chances that this will happen right under your feet and right on camera? It's genuinely tragic, and even worse because she was on holiday with her family at the time, meaning that they will have to return home without her.
That's so crazy, man. That is just so crazy, and we didn't really get a conclusion about what I wanted to hear. Like, as far as, is that city gonna get sued? Now, that's not in the United States. See, I'm speaking from a United States perspective when I talk about the government, and, you know, we pay taxes to make sure that y'all have the streets safe for us to walk on. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope that her family got more than just, we couldn't find a body. We did all we could. The end. No, ain't no the end, man. You got to compensate us for this tragedy that we going through. And when I be talking about the money part, y'all, I want y'all to just understand, man. I don't think that the money is gonna like make up for her loss or her dying. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like you just gotta get something out of it. That is just crazy for that to happen to that lady. And it was a couple before her that walked in that same area right before her. And I know that freaked them the F out too. It freaked everybody out. I'm freaked out. Let's go to number 9. Number 9.
Now, I've shown some shocking footage on this channel, But clips don't get any more shocking than this, and that is saying a lot, considering what I've covered so far.
Yeah.
The footage in question begins on January the 22nd, 2023, on a cold, still night in a Tesco car park in Stroud, UK. Hours before this footage, 41-year-old sex worker Kimberly Ann Hawkins met 63-year-old Neil Shadwick for what we'll call a session. 63-year-old Neil was a disabled man with minimal mobility. He'd use a mobility scooter to get to and from where he was going. It was his lifeline. He couldn't even walk 5 meters without falling down if he lost it. With that in mind, after the session was completed, it was time to get the cash. Kimberly hopped on Neil's scooter and the pair of them drove down to the nearest cash point. He'd been nice enough to even give her a lift on his scooter. The nearest cash point just so happened to be in a Tesco car park. In this footage, you can see how cold the night was because cars were even frozen over. Captured at 2:20 in the morning, the first CCTV footage shows Neil attempting to withdraw money from the cash point at the Tesco Express, but unfortunately this machine gave an error and refused to spit out any cash. So the pair hopped back onto the scooter and made their way to the nearest big Tesco. Recorded just 10 minutes later, you can see Neil arriving at the cash point with Kimberly. All on camera, you can see 63-year-old Neil struggling to stand up to withdraw the money from the cash point, and this is when Kimberly sees a golden opportunity to seize the jackpot. As Neil stands to withdraw the money, Kimberly hops onto his scooter, pushes on the accelerator, and attempts to drive off.
Man, this lady low down as hell for that. Seriously, you gonna leave this disabled man? You gonna take the one thing that this disabled man got to have transportation away from him like that? Seriously? But I guess she don't give a F. She a sex worker. You know what I'm saying? She don't care nothing about him.
Now remember, Neil literally can't walk without this scooter. He needs it to get home. So he did what anyone would do. He grabbed onto the scooter and held on for dear life. Kimberly raced through the car park as Neil held on. He begged her to stop, but she ignored him. Neil was dragged along the car park for around a minute before he was forced to let go and watch Kimberly ride off into the night with his only transport home, leaving him lying on the floor of the Tesco car park, absolutely freezing. Neil had no mobile phone on him to call for help, and his daughter said that he could also barely speak, so he couldn't even shout for help. He lay there in the Tesco car park, completely at the mercy of the bitter cold. Now January in the UK, it's the winter of course. That night, temperatures dropped to as low as -6.
Ooh.
Neil lay there freezing in the Tesco car park for a total of 3 hours, where eventually he was discovered by Tesco staff who were arriving at work in the morning. He'd spent the night in sub-zero conditions and he was completely unresponsive. Ambulance teams rushed him to the hospital, but sadly he never regained consciousness and died later that morning.
Damn, man, that is effed up. And I heard Ryan earlier say that when he was talking about how the windshields was frozen up and stuff. I forgot about the fact that it's cold out there and this man can't walk. Was she thinking like that? Did she think when I leave this man stranded, he is not gonna be able to go nowhere? So long story short story long, he gonna die in these weather conditions. Or did she think like that? Or if she did she still not give a F? I don't know, y'all. Long story short story long. I feel like she need to face some consequences for this ish now. Come on, Bean Team. I don't know if it's attempted murder. Well, it is murder. I don't know if you should charge her with murder or manslaughter or whatever. Theft at the very least.
Really, really shocking stuff. That same day, Kimberly was visited by the police and arrested on suspicion of theft, which she expected, but to her surprise, she was also arrested on suspicion of manslaughter.
Thank you.
Is it? What's your name, sorry? It's Kimberly.
Stand up for me. Kimberly, stand up. What, you got? Come here a sec. Is it Kimberly? Yeah? Put your hands on your back a sec. What you got in your hand?
Just put it down.
Put your pipe down for a sec.
Pipe.
Right, bend this arm for me. Right. Yeah. Right, so Kimberly. Right.
Listen to my colleague.
Kimberly, listen to me for one sec, okay? So at the moment, you are under arrest under suspicion of robbery and manslaughter, okay? Give me 1 second. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, alright? So this is following an allegation from this morning. Alright, so it's following an allegation from this morning that a gentleman's been pushed off a mobility scooter that's been stolen. Alright? And since then he has passed away in hospital, alright?
She was like, what you mean manslaughter? So maybe she didn't. I ain't trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, being team. I'm just saying, man, her whole shock and awe and crying right there may have been real. She probably ain't even processed the thought that that man could be out there stranded and dead. I don't know. I ain't trying to make excuses. It don't matter. Take her ass for manslaughter and give her life in prison. I'm not even finna try to be all soft on her like that. I'm just saying it is a possibility that she wasn't thinking that far into it. Let's go.
She had no idea that her entire callous act had been captured on camera. She'd been caught red-handed. She knew full well by stealing this scooter that she would leave a disabled and vulnerable man lying on the floor in sub-zero conditions, but she didn't care. She wanted her money, and she wanted the scooter, and she got it. But at what cost? In August of 2024, Kimberly appeared in court, where here she pleaded guilty to manslaughter. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison for the manslaughter and 6 months for other offences. Now this seems like a very light sentence for the amount of evil that was on clear display here, but of course I'm interested in your thoughts below. While Kimberly will be out of prison in less than 10 years, the horror that she impacted on Neil's family and friends will stick with them forever.
6 years for manslaughter? See, that's why, man. See, it don't matter if you believe out there that she tried. She knew that he was gonna end up dying or not. Now, the way Ryan just said it, he said that she knew that, and yes, of course, she knew that he was disabled. But I don't know how far to what extent did she know that he was disabled. But Ryan was saying that she pretty much knew that without this scooter, this man was gonna die out here in this cold. But regardless of all that being team, just take all that out the equation. That's all gibber yabber and jibber jabber. I'm talking about the fact that she committed manslaughter and only got 6 years. Hell no, you got to get 25 to life for that at least. At least. Let's go to the next one. Number 8.
On July the 26th, 2024, under the blue, clear skies above Lake Michigan, a birthday party set sail on a yacht. Among those on board was 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin. Lorenzo, from Illinois, worked as a deckhand on the 25-foot double-decker yacht. This yacht was a vessel often used for these lively gatherings. As the boat ventured further from Chicago's 31st Street beach, some passengers started to notice that something was wrong. The once stable and smooth boat began to bob and lean dangerously to one side, but the party continued. By 7:30 p.m, the combination of speed, the increasing tilt, along with the choppy waters, proved far too much. Without a second's warning, the yacht capsized, violently throwing all 16 passengers overboard into the cold, dark waters of Lake Michigan. Now it's worth noting that this was all unfolding very close to land. So close, in fact, that people can be seen shouting and trying to help literally like 20 meters away.
My God, bro. Rescue mission out here.
Jet skiers that were nearby saw the chaos unfold and rushed to help. Everyone was in the water trying to get to safety, but Lorenzo, a strong swimmer and always the one to step up in a crisis, stayed in the water, helping others put their life jackets on instead of securing his own. In the chaos, Lorenzo was unable to secure his life jacket, and when the authorities conducted a head count, the realization hit hard. He was missing. The US Coast Guard, along with Chicago's Police Marine Unit, were called in. Multiple dive teams, along with rescue boats, scoured the water in a desperate search for Lorenzo. For 2 agonizing days, his family waited for news, and still there was nothing.
Well, it's been a busy weekend for these rescue crews on Lake Michigan. The conditions on the water have just been way too choppy, and that's why the search had to be suspended today for the one man who's still missing. Rescue crews are waiting until tomorrow to resume a search for a man who's been missing for more than 24 hours near 31st Street Harbor. The U.S. Coast Guard says that man was on a 25-foot double-decker yacht Friday night when it capsized.
This is when Lorenzo's cousin Charles flew in from Arcadia to help with the search. Stood by the sunken yacht, Charles found himself by the water just 2 days later, praying that Lorenzo was found, praying for a miracle.
Oh.
If I want to, I can step on that rock and step over there. I don't know if it floated over this way or what, but I can't just bet it he ain't make it to one of these rocks from right there.
And then, as if in an answer to their prayers, they spotted something bobbing in the water. To their shock and total heartbreak, they saw that it was Lorenzo's body floating close to shore.
Oh, man.
This, man. Oh my fucking God, man. Oh my God, man, that gotta be Snoop, bro. That's Snoop, dog. I gotta go get him, bro. Man, that's Snoop, man. Hey, can y'all come get him, bro? Let me see my phone, man. That's Snoop BT, man. That's Snoop, man. I knew God was gonna let me find my boy, man. God damn, come on. Man, how they get by him this close, man? Hey, thank you, good God. So, man, I know, man. They told me don't do it, bro. You, man. Oh, my God.
Man, that is heart the freak breaking, y'all. It almost got me want to break out in tears, man. Just watching a friend. I don't know if he was just a friend or a brother, but even if they friends, I'm pretty sure they called each other brothers. And all those other people, man, just watching them actually record their real reaction to finding Snoop dead in that water. I just gonna say it, man. Jesus Christ, that is freaking terrible. And it's so crazy how the damn yacht was so close to land. It wasn't like they was just way out there in the middle of nowhere on the water. Rest in peace to Snoop.
It was a grim discovery, one that raised serious, painful questions about how the rescue teams, with all their equipment and expertise, failed to find him when he was right there, just beneath the surface. Now obviously, bodies can stay at the bottom of any body of water for a while before floating to the surface, but isn't this precisely what the dive team should have been looking for in those crucial early days? Who knows? Lorenzo seemed like a lovely, talented husband who lost his life helping others to safety, and there isn't a more honourable way to die than that.
True. True, man. He lost his life saving other people's lives. You know what I'm saying? That is honorable as F. Shout out to Snoop. Rest in peace to Snoop. W Snoop. Let's go. Number 7.
At the serene yet perilous Kawali Sard Point, located in Amboli Ghat in Maharashtra, India, a group of 7 friends gathered for a picnic to take in the breathtaking views. Kawali Sard Point, situated in Maharashtra, is a stunning and beautiful place where the earth seemed to literally drop away, leaving only a sheer 2,000-foot descent into the gorge below. That day started as a carefree adventure picnic with a group of friends, but it quickly spiraled into something far more sinister. 26-year-old Imran Garadi, along with Pratap Rathod, were part of this group. Both men were already heavily drunk from the alcohol that they had been consuming throughout the day, and this is when they decided to do something crazy. The footage shows them both sitting on the edge of the fence, laughing with a bottle of alcohol in their hand, as the vast 2,000-foot drop lay just in front of them. By now, the rest of the group had moved away from the precipice, perhaps sensing the risk of alcohol and heights. However, the 2 men remained sat by the edge of the fall. They were in good spirits. The video captures the moment where one of the men jumps off the fence into a nearby pond, only to return back to the fence where he previously was. As if the thrill of the danger of being sat on the fence wasn't enough, the pair had to push it further. In a move
Like, this dude literally falling off the fence. Y'all see how drunk he is? They keep playing with fire, and sadly, they gonna get burned. But y'all just seen how drunk he is. He's stumbling. He can't even climb back on the fence. Man.
move that defies reason, they step past the safety barrier, stepping onto a narrow ledge with nothing between them and the 2,000-foot drop below. All on camera, in an instant, one of the men lost his footing. He slipped. In a desperate attempt to save his life, he grabbed onto the other man, and with that, the second man was also pulled over the ledge. Together, they plummeted 2,000 feet into the gorge below. This all unfolded within a blink of an eye, leaving their friends still stood there, stunned. The men obviously fell all the way to the bottom of the valley, their lives ending on impact. It was clearly an accident waiting to happen. They were tempting fate far too much. It's a clear reminder of how easily your life can be dragged away, especially when you tempt fate. When you're drunk, sometimes you make poor decisions, and sometimes these decisions are fatal.
I'm serious, man. Like, they was playing with fire until they end up getting burned. Like, come on, man. I done been drunk before. Not before. I have been drunk plenty of times, but I ain't never been drunk to the point of that ish. They might have well just was running in traffic, wouldn't go played in traffic. They would have had a better chance of surviving. You know what I'm saying, man? And I ain't trying to be funny. Rest in peace to them too. But I'm just saying, y'all, if you indulge in the devil's liquid, make sure you know what you're doing. Long story short, short story long. Let's go. Number 6.
On December the 18th, 2016, the Engenheiro Arisco Railway Bridge, a towering 173 feet structure that connected Marinki to Itu in Sao Paulo, hosted a fun bungee jumping endeavour that I'm sure all involved will never forget. For a bit of background, the Engenheiro Arisco Railway Bridge is a well-known site for the local fire department's rappelling training, but also a hotspot for extreme sport enthusiasts. On top was a bungee jumping setup set up by a company, but this bungee jump was extra dangerous due to its narrow space, where jumpers and passing train cars uneasily shared the area. That fateful day, 35-year-old Fabio Ezequiel, a locksmith from Valenhos, stood on the edge of the bridge, preparing for his third jump with this particular bungee company called Maxstream. Fabio had jumped from this bridge just a month prior with this company. He had trusted them enough to bring his family along that day to witness the jump. Alongside Fabio were 5 other jumpers, each having paid approximately $250 for what was supposed to be a thrilling experience. And this is where the video begins. It was all smiles and laughter until Fabio leapt from the bridge. This is when something went terribly, terribly wrong, because as he did, according to witnesses, the bungee rope stretched further than it should have, allowing Fabio to plummet 173 feet to the ground below. His wife rushed over to find him alive, but in complete agony. While there was an inflatable mattress laid down below, Fabio completely missed it and slammed headfirst into the ground. Despite the immediate efforts of the mobile emergency care service, Fabio's injuries proved too severe and he died on the way to the hospital. In the days that followed, the full extent of the tragedy began to unravel. During a nearly 3-hour testimony of December the 21st, the company owner, a guy named Frederick Weinard, confirmed that there had been a technical failure during the jump and that the backup rope, intended as a safety measure, had also been mismeasured, resulting in Fabio's tragic death. However, it turns out this wasn't even the first time something like this had happened under his watch. Wow. It was soon discovered that the owner of this bungee jumping company was already involved in 2 other lawsuits, one involving the death of a 19-year-old during a festival, and the other concerning injuries of a 24-year-old man during another bungee jump. So the guy...
So how in the freak do he even still have a license to even be running a bungee jumping business? You know what I'm saying? And just the fact that you said that y'all had technical difficulties with one of the ropes, but y'all mismeasured the backup rope too? Come on, man.
had no care for safety. It was then also discovered that he had no permission to jump on this bridge at all. The railway company said that such activities required prior authorization, which in this case was not even obtained, making the entire thing illegal. Despite this occurring in 2016, as far as I can see, there has yet to be a final public ruling or resolution in any of these cases, so it's assumed that they were paid out of court or they just weren't resolved. I've covered so many similar cases on this channel already, and I'm sure I'll cover more like this in the future. But this entry is just another example of dodgy cowboys wanting to take you for a ride for a bit of money. Just remember, if you're in a foreign country or you're out and about, please be careful who you pick to take you on things like this, because it could be the very last thing that you do.
Yep, Ryan has covered many of those cases, y'all. One that's standing out in my head right now is when it was, I don't remember, it was a couple, but it was either a couple or one single person, but they went, long story short story long, they was on the beach, they was traveling, they was in another country, they was on the beach, and they seen this hang gliding type of business or thingy or whatever, and one on with hang gliding, and they never came back. Long story short story long, they died, man. I think the glide went down as soon as it started or something. It was crazy, just like this. Like he said, man, be careful. Make sure these businesses are freaking legit. Because this dude was just running some shady-ish from the beginning and had prior instances showing the shadiness, but he still was doing it illegally, and another tragedy happened. I feel like he needed to be locked up, and I hope that this another one where I hope that dude family got compensated some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Got some type of money at the very least. We only halfway through, y'all. We got a whole nother half to go. Let's get to number 5. Number 5.
How suddenly things can go wrong is really on display while driving, and this entry is yet again no exception. With that in mind, this horrifying footage was recorded on Friday, November the 27th, 2020, in Russia, though the exact location is unfortunately unknown. The footage shows a car driving down a quiet forest road. The driver is travelling at a considerable speed, and in front you can see a vehicle crossing the road. As the driver gets closer and closer, a second vehicle then comes into view. Thinking nothing of it, the driver attempts to pass through between these two cars, and it's only when he gets close that he realises that this second vehicle was actually being towed. As he got closer, he spotted the metal tow rope strung across the road like a deadly clothesline. With just a second's notice, the car collided with the tow rope, smashing the car to pieces.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I couldn't even see that damn rope till he got right up on it.
Now with this kind of setup, with this kind of footage, you'd expect the driver to be at least seriously injured, if not decapitated. But, as I always say in these videos, clips before horror doesn't always mean death. In this case, the clip continues, showing the man's hands shaking as he takes the keys out of the ignition and flees the vehicle. Despite crashing into the metal rope at such a high speed, he had survived unscathed.
Wow.
It must have hit the A-pillar of the car and just miraculously slid over, avoiding a brutal Final Destination style death.
Yeah. God was on his side that day, y'all. That could have ended a lot worse than what it did, and I'm glad it ended the way it did. But seriously, man, I feel like I would have been one of those ones that would have did that. I did not see that damn rope till he got right up on it. Let's go to number 4. Number 4.
In a small town called Kalimpong, nestled in the Himalayan foothills of West Bengal, India, adventure meets tranquility. Kalimpong is known for its sweeping views along with its Buddhist monasteries, but it also features extreme sports like white river rafting, zip lining, and of course paragliding. Because of this, it draws in tourists from all across the world for its peace and its thrill. One of those thrill seekers was 32-year-old tourist Gaurav Chowdhury. Gaurav had always wanted to take a paragliding trip. He'd always wanted to soar in the air and see what it looked like from above. So he booked a paragliding adventure with a 22-year-old guide from Nepal in Kalimpong. After paying a fee, Gaurav and his guide climbed Diolo Hill, the highest point in Kalimpong, approximately 5,600 feet above sea level, ready for the jump. At 1:30 p.m, they arrived at the top of the hill, they suited up, and without much thought, they both leapt into the sky. And this is where the footage begins. It shows Gaurav holding a camera on a selfie stick, capturing himself suspended in the air. As usual with these videos, it's all fun and games until it's not. All of a sudden, a cord snapped on the glider, and in the blink of an eye, he and the pilot suddenly began plummeting to the ground. In the moments that they had to react, the guide's survival instincts kicked in. He held Gaurav tightly and wrapped his body around him, desperately trying to shield him from the fall. And just like that, 10 seconds later, they crashed into the roof of a house, the camera showing the rest of the paraglider drifting away carefully into the sky. Residents rushed to their aid to find that the pilot had died immediately upon impact. His body was crippled beyond belief. But amazingly, Gaurav was alive. While he was injured and he had a broken leg, along with other injuries, he had been saved from the fall by the guide wrapping himself around him, taking the brunt of the impact, sacrificing his life to save his passenger.
This reminds me of a Mr. Ballin story, y'all. If you know, man. Well, it was a lady and a man, and they was skydiving though. They were skydiving, and the parachute and the backup parachute didn't work or something. So the guide, he decided to take it upon himself to grab her and make sure that he land on the ground before her. You know what I'm saying? It's miraculously both of them survived, but he is paralyzed and disabled for the rest of his life. If you know what I'm talking about, man. This reminds me of that. But sadly, in this situation, I don't know why I want to keep calling them a pilot, but the guide, in this situation, he lost his life. Rest in peace to him.
Despite the guide clearly doing everything he could to save his passenger, Gaurav's friends contacted the police and filed a complaint, stating that organisers ignored basic safety measures, saying that the pilot lacked even a helmet, which is true. The superintendent said that they were probing the incident and had registered an unnatural death case. But at the time of saying this, I can't find any reference to the lawsuit or any arrest relating to this incident. But what shocking footage. The way Gaurav is just having fun, and then within a second, he's instantly plunged into the scariest experience that he's ever been exposed to. It makes you think twice before getting on anything like this, just like the bungee jump, so double and triple check, especially in India, where safety seems so very lax.
Yes, man. And I'm gonna tell you what would have thrown me off with him. When I would have seen that my guide is not wearing a helmet, you not wearing a helmet? So what type of safety procedures are you teaching me? You know what I'm saying, man? Why are you not? Nah, I'm good, bro. I don't even want to go no more. You know what I'm saying, man? But like I said, rest in peace to them. And he did end up saving Gaurav's life. But it's like, that would have been a major warning sign for me. And like Ryan said, man, it just show you, man, make sure you do all the Google searches that you can about these companies before you do any of this crazy ish with them. Let's go. Number 3.
You guys all know this, but tropical storms are among nature's most potent forces. When they unleash their fury, the results are often catastrophic and terrifying. Hurricane Ida, which ravaged the Gulf Coast from August the 26th to September the 5th, 2021, showed this fury very, very well. Storm Ida, being a Category 4 storm, swept across the Gulf Coast from Louisiana to the northeastern United States, causing extreme flooding, leaving over 1 million people without electricity and destroying over 90,000 homes, primarily in Louisiana. The clip in question in this entry was recorded as Ida passed through Cranford, New Jersey. It shows a basement with ankle-high brown floodwaters, with a man carefully wading through it. It was reported that he and his family members had been attempting to empty the basement of water that day before the totally unimaginable occurred. All captured on camera, you can start to see the basement wall bulge and crack, Seconds later, the bottom of the wall entirely gives way, unleashing a tidal wave of floodwater into the basement cavity. The entire room was filled to the ceiling within seconds, with furniture being pushed around like pinballs.
Like that water filled that goddamn basement up so fast.
Screams from the son could be heard, shouting for his family, but looking at the amount of water, the chances of survival if you were deep in the basement were slim. Lucky for this man, he was actually on the basement steps leading out of the basement. With the aid of his family, who heard all the screaming and the commotion, he was able to be rescued and escorted to safety. I told you guys this series isn't all death. Amazingly, this man escaped this nightmarish situation completely unscathed. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for his house, which is definitely now damaged beyond repair. However, other folks who found themselves in exact same situation just weren't so lucky. In Ida's wrath, at least 112 people were killed, with at least 42 of these deaths being attributed to basement collapses, as you have just seen. So, next time you're trapped in your house during a flood, pick anywhere but the basement to relax, because this is the very last thing you want to find yourself stuck in.
Man, rest in peace to those 112 people that lost their lives in Hurricane Ida. And I'm glad that he did survive and his family, because anybody who would have been down in that basement, y'all, they was done for. Seriously, that goddamn water came in like a tidal wave, like it was from the ocean. You know what I'm saying, man? Like it was freaking high noon down there or something, man. Let's go to number 2. Number 2.
In life, sometimes you should just walk away from an escalating confrontation. Most of the time, it isn't worth your effort or your stress. With that in mind, this horrible footage was recorded on July the 30th, 2022, in Somerset, Wisconsin. The sun was shining that day, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was the perfect weather for tubing. One couple that wanted to go out and have fun in the sun was 54-year-old mechanical engineer Nikolay Miu and his wife Sandra. They intended to visit their favorite place, the Apple River, with a couple of friends, a popular destination for tubers located in Wisconsin's St. Croix County. At 10:45 a.m., Nikolay and Sandra met with a few friends at the River's Edge campground near the Apple River, and at noon, they set off for a fun day of tubing. It was all smiles and joy until around 3:30 p.m. when one of their friends dropped their phone into the river. Lucky for them, Nikolay had brought with him scuba gear, so with this gear he was looking in the water trying to find it. This went on for some time, and Nikolay eventually split from the group. With his head in the water, searching for the phone, Nikolay had silently approached a group of teens that were also tubing on the river. Here he began peacefully searching for the phone, and this is when the group of teens approached him, asking him what he was doing. When he didn't immediately respond, the group called him a PDF file and then called him a pervert, saying that he was using the mask to look at the teens under the water. At approximately 3:44 p.m, this is when this footage was recorded. It starts by showing Nikolay aggressively rushing towards the group of teens. The teens at this point in the day had been drinking and were acting like typical drunk teens. Despite Nikolay approaching the group, he soon becomes overwhelmed and tries to retreat, and this is when they started following him. They stopped him from leaving and chanted in his face.
What's going on with y'all homie? He's on camera. Scripting. He's on 4K. Yo, the new iPhone got that good quality. Further culture. Who is that?
This is when two other...
Yeah, it just seemed like a situation that should have just never even happened. Like a confrontation that should have been avoided, man. And I feel like both sides are wrong. I'm just going to keep it 100, y'all. The teens are wrong for sitting up there just accusing this man of looking at them under the water and calling him a pedophile. You know, they trying to antagonize him. You know what I'm saying? They being antagonistic. But what I feel like he effed up it was actually walking over there to them, to they floats or whatever that shit called, the tubes in the water, walking up to the group of them and trying to do whatever. Like, I just feel like both of them should have just stayed their own way. Let's see where we going with it though.
The females entered the scene, accusing him of looking at little girls. Things quickly got out of control, and everyone in this situation just should have walked away. But instead, the teens surrounded Nikolay, screaming and shouting, and soon a physical altercation occurred, all of them not knowing that Nikolay was hiding a concealed knife.
Oh!
Multiple teens began pushing him down in the water, one even smacking his face. As he stood up for the second time, without hesitating, he pulled out the concealed knife and he began slashing and stabbing at anyone that he could reach. The knife apparently he'd brought with him to cut some tubes that day, but he never thought he'd use it like this. In the scuffle, he plunged the blade into the stomach of 17-year-old Isaac Schumann. The scene suddenly turned to shock and absolute horror as people couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Before anyone had any time to react, Nikolay stood up and slashed one of the girls in the chest again.
Damn!
Blood can be seen pouring out of the wound, and in the space of just a few seconds, a total of 5 people were stabbed to varying degrees. One was in the back, one was slashed across the chest, one person was apparently instantly gutted as Nikolay had stabbed their stomach and pulled up at the same time.
Yeah, now Nikolay doing too much now, man. He okay, the first one not even justified, but now he going slashing the other girl's chest and doing this and all that. Like, dude, you have took it way too far. And I feel like he is in the wrong more than anything, even before he pulled a knife out, y'all, because the fact that he walked over there to them. You a grown man, they teenagers, not making that an excuse, but I'm just saying that you a grown man, you well seasoned in life. You know what I'm saying? You should be mature by this age. Sticks and stones shouldn't break your bones, but I mean, what the freak the terminology is? Sticks and stones will break your bones. They should break your bones, but the words that they saying, that shit don't hurt. So let them talk they crazy, you a P word, don't. Y'all know what I'm saying, and you this and that, but you look for the phone if you don't see it, go on about your business. Not take it to the level that you did. That is freaking crazy, man. He too old for that. He should have known better.
Shit just got real. In the footage, the murky brown rivers soon turned red. The scene turned into one that no one should have to witness. After stabbing 5 people, just like that, he then walked around a mile back to his friends and his wife, where here he resumed his day like nothing had happened, leaving Isaac and others with serious injuries fighting for their lives.
Take the river down.
We got someone who can't move.
Yep, come on up.
We got someone who
you
can't
come
move.
up here.
Go help him. Yeah, we got one.
Where'd the suspect go?
I don't know. No, but we got. She got stabbed. Her right there. She got stabbed. Okay. And there's 2 down there yet too.
Despite paramedics arriving swiftly, sadly, nothing could be done to save Isaac, and he succumbed to his injuries right there in the river. Meanwhile, Nikolay had fled the scene and ditched the knife. He changed into another set of clothes and put on a pair of shades. Here he was swiftly apprehended by law enforcement, who had used tip-offs and eyewitness accounts to track him down. The police arrested him on 4 counts of attempted first-degree homicide and 1 count of first-degree intentional homicide.
I'm sorry, yeah. No,
You're just being detained at this point, okay?
Yes.
What do we check? Checking.
Chain matches. Yep. Shorts.
What's your name?
Nick.
Nick what?
Nick Mew.
Okay. You can bring over my...
What did they do?
This way. Bring over my squad. Silver blockchain. Same shorts. He got some pretty good markings on his hand too. Still doing all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on?
Temperature's okay in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody, I hear somebody got stabbed. And I fit the description.
Yes, you do.
All right.
Yep. So we're working through that now.
He trying to act like he don't know what's going on when you literally, like them little kids was saying, I ain't trying to be funny, but like the little teenager was saying, we got you in 4K. We got you on camera. But now you want to act like you don't know what the hell going on when we literally got the video of what the hell happened. You know what I'm saying? Better dude crazy. And another thing, this reminds me of Tragedy Tales. Maybe it was the latest video he put out or the one before that of the dude. It's such a similar situation of a dude who got mad because some protesters was in the road and they was holding up traffic. So he got out the car. Long story short, story long, just started shooting random people, got back in his car and went home. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was gonna go home. Just like Nikolai. Went home like everything just all good and you ain't gonna face no repercussions. Nikolai, you too old to been a did this, bro. I mean, everybody not mature like us out there being teen. There are some people that are not mature. And I understand in the heat of the moment, you can get mad as elf and do stuff. But if he would have just stabbed that one boy because he was mad, maybe I could have been a little more lenient on what he did. Regardless, you committed murder, you killed him, so you got to go face the consequence. But I'm saying maybe I could have been a little more lenient. But the fact that he stabbed him, then went after others and others and others, like, come on, bro. Nikolai, take your ass to prison for the rest of your life.
In custody, Nikolai initially tried lying. He gave conflicting and misleading statements to the police. He attempted to portray himself as 100% of the victim and claimed that he only acted within self-defense during the altercation. But if that was the case, why would he flee the scene and ditch the weapon?
Exactly.
Now this was all just shocking and sad. Like I said, everyone should have walked away. I can see in the video how being surrounded by a group of strangers, a group of teens, being repeatedly forced into the water, not knowing if they had any weapons or what they were going to do to you, this kind of situation would be scary for anyone. Due to the seriousness of his charges, Nikolai was held for 2 years until his trial on April the 1st, 2024. In court, he testified himself, stating that he acted only within self-defense and that he was the victim.
One statement was, there were about 7 people on top of me, hitting me in the back of the head and on the back. I don't know with what. A second statement made was, they just attacked me, they called me a child. A third statement made was, a guy pulled a knife on me, I took his wrist and turned it into his belly.
But after 2 months of deliberation, mainly due to the fact that he went back to the car to retrieve the knife before any of the teams had brandished weapons or threatened him, it was argued by the prosecution that this was all premeditated, rather than an impulse act of self-defense, as he claimed it was.
So at this time, I will impose the following sentence on Mr. Mew. For count 1, I will impose a term of initial confinement of 20 years, followed by 6 years of extended supervision. For count 2, involving Anthony Carlson, 5 years initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision. Count 3, involving Dante Carlson, 5 years of initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision. Count 4, Alexander Martin, 6 years of initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision. Count 5, Riley Madison, 5 years initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision. Count 6, Madison Cohen, 270 days of jail. Mr. Mew is not eligible for challenge incarceration program or the earned release program due to his age and the nature of these offenses. The sentences on all 6 counts will run concurrent. Thank you all. We stand adjourned.
Ultimately, a jury found that Nick was not guilty on the charges of first and second degree intentional homicide. However, he was found guilty of first degree reckless homicide, as well as the other lesser charges, including 4 counts of first degree reckless endangering, safety and battery. The jury determined that while his actions were very reckless, they did not meet the criteria for an intentional homicide. He was sentenced to a total of 20 years in prison, followed by 6 years supervision. But as he's already 54, this is essentially a life sentence.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I ain't flip out on it, y'all. I was just listening to the judge say, you got 5 for this, you got 5 for this, you got 5 for that, you got 6 for this. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really flipping out, but let's just be for real, man. That is freaking murder. I guarantee you, if I was to goddamn go down there in the goddamn water in a river and do that to a group of kids, a group of teenagers, my ass would get thrown under the jail. Let's just be for real, and a lot of y'all out there would too. But I guess it really, like Ryan said, don't matter. He got 20 years. He 54, so he gonna be 74 before he get out. And who's to know if he will even live to that long? And then after that, he got 6 years of supervision, so he gonna be like 80. So he gonna be like pretty much incarcerated for the rest of his life regardless. But I just feel like sometimes, man, just throw the hammer down. He murdered that boy. He murdered Isaac, man. Point blank, period.
This whole situation was just absolutely unbelievably tragic. None of this should have occurred on what was supposed to be a fun day out tubing in the sun. As always, I'm interested in your thoughts below, as this one is far from black and white.
Yeah, that's tough, though. That is tough, Bean Team. Number 1.
One of the key takeaways from these clips before horror videos is to remind you that life can be snatched away at any moment. We all make plans for next year, but some of us don't even make it to next week. Life has a million ways to take you out, and this entry is a sobering reminder of that. These unbelievably tragic clips originate from Sao Paulo again, on August the 9th, 2024. That day, Vopas Flight 2283 was scheduled for a domestic Brazilian passenger flight from Cascavel to Guarulhos, a short flight of around 1 hour and 35 minutes. The twin-engined turboprop plane, built in 2010, had been a workhorse for Vopas since being purchased in September of 2022. The plane had 62 occupants that day, 58 passengers, and 4 crew. The pilot in command was 35-year-old Captain Danilo Santos Romano, who had just finished his first full year as a commander. He was hired in November of 2022 and had over 5,200 flight hours under his belt. He also had a 61-year-old veteran co-pilot by the name of Humberto de Campos e Silva sat next to him. At approximately 11:46 a.m., the plane left Cascavel Airport bound for Sao Paulo's Guarulhos International Airport. That day, the weather was fine. However, meteorological reports indicated areas of turbulence, thunderstorms, and most importantly, icing along the route. This was something that happened infrequently, so de-icing techniques were used and the plane departed without fault. If you're unfamiliar with icing, you've seen Iron Man 1, right? It's basically a big concern for all aircraft types. Icing occurs when supercooled water droplets in clouds freeze upon contact with the aircraft surfaces. This ice can build up on various parts of the plane, such as wings, tail, and engines, leading to several severe problems such as aerodynamic problems, instrument malfunctions, and even complete engine failure. Now, the flight was going as well as you'd expect until around 1:21 p.m. The plane was cruising at around 17,000 feet when it suddenly experienced a brief loss of altitude and then suddenly regained it. Shortly after, the aircraft entered what is known as a flat spin, a rare but hazardous type of spin in which an aircraft rotates around its vertical axis with little to no forward motion. While flat spins can be recovered from in smaller planes, the usual spin recovery techniques are useless in multi-engine aircrafts where the heavy engines are attached to the wings, making recovery almost impossible.
Like, can you imagine being in that plane when it started to go into that flat spin or whatever it's called? Can you imagine being in that plane?
Aircraft data shows a strange flight path starting at 1:21 local time. Within a minute and a half, the plane plummeted out of the sky. Videos captured on the ground showed scenes that are just awful. The plane was tumbling out of the sky, clearly with no control. Just imagining what was going on inside that metal exterior makes me honestly sick. In the space of just a minute and a half, it fell right out of the sky, crash landing in a residential area near Sao Paulo.
porra. Caralho, bicho. Nó. Fudeu, velho. É doido. Rapaziada, olha o avião caindo, mano. Mano, olha o avião caindo, velho. Mano, olha o avião caindo, mano.
Upon impact, the plane exploded into a deadly fireball, throwing burning fuel and debris in all directions. Fire teams rushed to the scene to find pure devastation. In the crash, every single person on board perished.
Damn.
The dead were charred so far beyond recognition that identification was very difficult. The victims comprised of 8 doctors, 6 of whom were oncologists en route to a cancer conference in Sao Paulo, along with 4 professors from Western Panama State University. It also included 2 children. Eerily, at least 10 ticketed passengers accidentally missed their flight as they were waiting at the incorrect gate.
Wow.
At first, they were probably fuming and upset that they'd missed their flight until they saw the news. At the time of saying this incident is very fresh. However, on September the 6th, almost a month later, a preliminary report on the crash was released, and it uncovered some startling details about what occurred that day. The report revealed that the aircraft had been dispatched into forecast severe icing conditions, even though it was known to be outside the certification limit for that particular plane. According to the report, a critical ice protection system failed early into the flight. Despite this, when the Air Performance Monitoring System issued warnings about worsening performance, the crew failed to respond. Eventually, the aircraft lost so much speed that the stall warning was triggered. In essence, there were multiple warnings that something was seriously wrong, but they were disregarded. Soon after this, the engine stalled and the pilots were unable to recover.
But I wonder why they was disregarded like that. Like, they had a lot of warning signs before. Man, see, this one of them ones where you gonna always have a lot of questions.
But may the 62 people who lost their lives in this deadly crash, along with the rest of the people featured in this video, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
But holy smackaroos, where do I start with this one? I've covered some insane footage, but this video has to take the cake. Starting at the top, we've got the sinkhole in Malaysia. It's kind of unbelievable that this can happen truly out of nowhere. You can see on camera, it all happened so quickly, and the fact that they couldn't find her body, even after digging up the entire road and searching the sewers, is tragic. Kimberly leaving Neil to die in a Tesco car park, all for a bit of cash and a mobility scooter, is just pure evil. She went home, went to sleep thinking nothing of it, knowing that Neil was freezing in the car park, and in my opinion, she should have been given life in prison.
Yes.
Lorenzo, who perished while trying to help others, only to be discovered by his cousin randomly 2 days after the incident, is almost unbelievable. What are the chances that his body would surface at that exact moment that they reach the shore and the boat? It is quite bizarre, and it does make you wonder why law enforcement did not discover him sooner. The 2 men that tumbled 2,000 feet into a gorge while drunk, I'm lost for words. Why did they do this? Sometimes when you're drunk, you make ridiculous decisions, but this is just past ridiculous. What were they thinking? Fabio, that leapt off a bridge with too long of a bungee cord in Sao Paulo, is bloody criminal. The owner was already facing 2 lawsuits, and this just added to the pile. I do wish I could find some resolution of this, but like I said, I couldn't find any results. But please don't do a random bungee jump off the side of a bridge that's also connected to a train track. You're just screaming danger. Next, the paragliding death. Paragliding is an extreme sport that I've covered multiple times on the channel already. It's lethal if anything goes wrong. However, in this case, I've got to say the guy did an honourable job by laying down his life to save his passenger, and that's really all you can ask for of a pilot. But it would have helped if they had better safety beforehand. This whole thing was probably caused by bad safety in the first place. Storm Ida that pummeled New Jersey, causing basements to collapse like they did in the video, is true horror. The speed at which that basement flooded is something that I will never forget.
Yes.
Again, I'm glad that he survived, but many, many weren't so lucky that year. Next, how could I possibly not cover the Apple River stabbing? You guys knew I would cover this eventually, but I was shocked by going over the case again. The clips that were captured that day show horror from both sides of the coin. The teens and the man both acted so badly, and it left a 17-year-old boy dead. His family will never plug that hole that is left, and Nikolai will never be a free man again. And last, but certainly not least, the Vopas Flight 2283 that crashed in Sao Paulo, that footage left me with goosebumps. Every clip captured was horrible and truly shocking. I said this before, but I just can't imagine what occurred in those last 2 final minutes of the descent. As they spun in circles in the flat spin, they dropped 17,000 feet in the space of just 2 minutes. It would have been chaos inside, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But most importantly, what did you guys think of this one? As always, I'm interested in all of your thoughts below. As you know, I try and read every single comment. It's getting a little bit hard nowadays. But just before I go, if you're this far into the video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button now. And don't forget to tickle that notification bell to be alerted when I release content such as this. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again right now, Big Team. I think that was the best video we ever watched from Ryan, y'all. Like, seriously, man, great freaking job from Ryan covering these tragedy tales, man. And rest in peace to all those victims that happened throughout these tragedy tales, man. Oh my freaking God. I'm not gonna sit right here and go through all of them again, Big Team. Ryan just went through them right then, but F it. I know we'd have been like an hour now, over an hour now, but I gotta run through it myself real quick, y'all. The sinkhole, number 10, man. Like, dude, what is the chances of that? And then it's out in public on a public sidewalk. That, man, we pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that government need to be charged with something, man. Her family need to get some money for that, y'all. The one after that with the lady who stole the man's scooter, and I was thinking like maybe she didn't think or process the fact that she leaving them out here to die, but Ryan said she did. But regardless of all that, man, you give a manslaughter and she gets 6 years. 6 years, really? She should have got life or 25 to life. Like I said, Ryan said life, and I'm cool with that all day, every day. The one after that, let's see, y'all. Let's see. Just trying to run through it real quick with the yacht. First of all, seeing the yacht so close to shore, how close the yacht was to shore and all the people in the water and all of them survived but Snoop, and seeing that dude and the other people out there reaction to finding his body days later floating in that water, man, that is freaking heartbreaking, man. Rest in peace to Snoop, and shout out to Snoop for making sure everybody else was safe before he even made sure himself was safe, because we watched a lot of videos from Ryan, from the Coffee Man, from that chapter where these captains and all these boats and stuff, they didn't be worried about nobody but they damn self. The one after that, these dudes right here, rest in peace to them. But goddamn, man, you that drunk where you go over. They long story short story long. They played with fire till they got their ass burned, man. Rest in peace to them. But that just is what it is, man. Rest in peace to them. They was drunk as elf. Like Jesus, like, man, just slow down if you don't know how to control it. The one after that, the guy the bungee jump guy who didn't even know, and that's why I say, Bean Team, we gotta do our research before we be doing business with these businesses. Let me put it in quotation marks out there. He bungee jumping. They didn't have no safety precaution. They had mismeasurements on the bungee jump and all that. And the owner of the freaking bungee jump company already had priors before that effed up incidences. The one after that where you couldn't see the freaking line when the two trucks were crossing the street and you ain't realized that one of them was getting towed. Man, I feel like a lot of people could have got effed up in that one, man. The one after that, wow, damn, we had a lot of Ryan from Tragedy Tale this week. Shout out to Ryan, man. But the one after that, man, was I think his name was Guzman or Garin or something like that. I know his name started with a G. He survived the freaking crash, and shout out to his guy, shout out to his pilot for saving his life. It reminded me of a Mr. Ballin story, and it's just crazy how it go back to that business thing I was saying, man. You gotta make sure that these are legit businesses before you even get involved with doing crazy stuff like that. The third one, y'all, the third one with the flood in the basement. What the F again, man? I'm just happy nobody was down there, because the way that freaking water just filled up real quick. You ever flushed your toilet and then in 3 seconds the bowl be back full? You know what I'm saying? That's basically how that shit happened, man. I'm just glad they survived that. And rest in peace to those 112 people that did die in that Hurricane Ida, though. Number 2, Nikolai. You too fucking old, bro. You had to be more mature than that, bro. You had to be more mature than that. I understand what situation you're going through, anger and all that, but I can't even excuse that, because it's like, dude, okay, you got one of them up off you. These other ones ain't coming at you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he just took it too far, slicing women and doing this and that. No, man. Then you want to act stupid and act like you don't even know why the cops arrested you. What's going on? Mother, like the little kid said, like the teenager said, we got you in 4K. Come on, bro. And the first one, the very first one, I said it before even I heard Ryan say it. I can just imagine what those people was thinking in that moment when that airplane started spinning like this in the middle of the air, and then they just feel they self falling. You just gotta keep in mind, man, like, oh my God, I don't even want to even detail out how it would freaking be to be in one of those seats, even if you got your seat belt on. You know what I'm saying, man? I digress, my brothers and sisters. Like I said, man, a great freaking video from Ryan from Tragedy Tales. I'ma go and let y'all go now. Y'all just make sure y'all come on back tomorrow on Saturday, because I will be doing a live stream reaction to Nick Crowley. And until then, my friends, make sure that you hit that like button, you comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.